Can you hear that or no?
So for step number 5,
Are you thinking of moving to Charlotte? Everyone always wants to know, what can I do in order to make my move more seamless? Well, you're in luck. Tune into this video so you can learn all about our tips and tricks when it comes to relocating, especially in the South Park area, so that you can make sure it is a stress-free process. Whether you're moving from New York, California, or Florida, just to name a few of the most popular states that buyers move to Charlotte from, you're going to want to understand what to expect when you get to Charlotte, North Carolina. All right, so let's just get right into this. Step number 1, you need to understand the layout of South Park. It's not a neighborhood, it's a whole area. It's a whole part of Charlotte. So if you're visiting someone who doesn't live in Charlotte, you can tell them, hey, I live in South Park. They're gonna understand that's the area, it's around the mall, there's a lot going on there. But within South Park, you have tons of different neighborhoods. You have Beverly Woods, you have Royden, you have Morrocroft, you have all kinds of neighborhoods. Governor's Square is another really good one, and a super walkable one, which we'll get into in a minute, why that's important. But understanding that South Park is not a neighborhood, it is an area that has a whole vibe to it is very important. Some parts of South Park are very walkable, some parts are not. You're also gonna find townhomes and condos in some parts of South Park, where you may find single family homes in other parts. So understanding where you want to be in the South Park area is gonna be super important, because some of those different things will play into the walkability factor. On that note, there are a lot of neighborhoods that are super walkable. You have a handful of different retail centers in the South Park area, smaller ones and some bigger ones, that you can walk to. And if you're walkable, that is huge for lifestyle, right? Obviously, it's great to not feel like you're stuck in your home. And if you can be walkable, a lot of people prefer to be. So, for example, some of the good retail centers that you want to look for on the smaller side are, this is so small, I don't even know the name of it, but it's on Fairview Road. There's a Caribou Coffee, there's a Ben & Jerry's, you've got Foxcroft Wine Company, a cool little wine bar, there's all kinds of stuff. Pretty sure there's even a steakhouse there, or a nice seafood restaurant. There's all kinds of little things in there, and it butts up to Governor's Square right off of Valencia Terrace. So that's a great place to look. Another smaller one that you'd want to look for is Old Town Village, which sits on the corner of Carmel Road and Quail Hollow Road. There's a Harris Teeter in there. You have Char Bar, which is a great American pub, like sports bar. You've got UPS store, Starbucks, all kinds of stuff is in Old Town Village. Going a little bigger, you have Phillips Place, which is a very nice shopping center. Very expensive, lots of great restaurants. There's a lot of stuff that's walkable to that. There's apartments right near there, there's townhomes near there, and you're close to a lot of office buildings, so maybe you're gonna be working near that. You also, on the biggest scale, have Piedmont Row and South Park Mall. These are gonna be huge draws for people in the South Park area. You want to be close to those so that you can be walkable, or even if you have to hop in the car for a 60-second drive just to go across a busy road. It's a great attraction to the South Park area. So understanding if you want to be close to some of these different retail areas is going to be super important. Another piece is work commute or traffic. Traffic can get pretty rough in South Park, and so we joke that we're a mini Atlanta, but we'll never be as bad as Washington, D.C., New York, Miami, LA, or any of these other big cities. Our traffic is very predictable. It's very predictable when it comes to the traffic patterns and when we have rush hour. We very much do have a real rush hour here in Charlotte, especially in the South Park area, but it's not something that you're dealing with all day. So keep an eye on that, because that will impact commute times. And if you want to be within a certain commute timeline or time frame, that's gonna be something you want to narrow down and figure out to help make your search more seamless. One other thing on the commute note though, when you're moving from another city, a lot of people are used to commuting, let's say an hour. An hour commute in Charlotte is a long commute. People in Charlotte are used to driving about 10 to 15 minutes to everything. So 20 minutes isn't too bad, 30 starts to feel a little far, and then 45 or 60 minutes is pretty far for a commute. So keep that in mind, because you may initially think that that's not bad if you're within an hour commute of your work and your home. But as you live in Charlotte and as you start to learn about the city, it will start to feel very far. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Now, the last piece with narrowing down your home search is previewing different home styles and price points. And we have tons of videos talking about the importance of getting pre-approved, the importance of working with a great agent, and the importance of really narrowing down what you want, and almost more importantly, what you don't want. Because when you know what you don't want, you can eliminate a lot of houses and not have to waste a lot of your precious time, especially if you're moving here from New York, Florida, California, any of these popular states and cities that people move to Charlotte from. You're gonna wanna make sure that you're not wasting your valuable time when you're visiting the city, because time is very limited and you don't wanna just go look at every single house that's on the market. You wanna look at the best ones. So narrowing down the search, understanding the vibe of the South Park area, knowing if you want something walkable or if you want a single family home or a condo or townhome, all of these things are gonna be critical to making things easier on you when you're relocating to South Park. Now, should we get into the second point? Because I think you're gonna like this one. Actually, before we get to that, this video is gonna go into all the things that I didn't have any clue about before I moved to Charlotte 11 years ago, and you probably wouldn't know either. And if you are curious about some of the other aspects to moving to Charlotte or South Park, one big one that we get a lot of questions on is, what is the cost of living like? What is the lifestyle like? What is the quality of life like? Well, lucky for you, we have videos about that. So be sure to check out the video, especially the one about the cost of living, because that's gonna be a huge factor when you're moving to Charlotte. Now let's get back into it. So step 2, you need to understand the cost of living and what the lifestyle in Charlotte can look like for you. Now, before we even get into this, I would be remiss if I didn't say that you should check out our cost of living video about Charlotte, North Carolina and how we compare it to the national average. But when you're moving here, you do need to take that into consideration. Home prices and affordability are a big piece when it comes to cost of living, because, well, and lifestyle, honestly, because if you are moving from New York City, everything's gonna feel cheap here. If you're moving from the middle of nowhere into some small rural town, this is all gonna feel very expensive for you. If you're moving from a similar city, it will feel very even with what you've experienced in the city that you're moving from. So understanding home prices, understanding values here is going to be really important when it comes to the cost of living and lifestyle piece. There's a few additional pieces when it comes to cost of living, like HOAs, and hidden costs like insurance or taxes. And again, depending where you're coming from, some of these will feel really cheap and some will not. And when it comes to HOAs, if you're looking at a house, the HOA dues are going to be pretty cheap and affordable. If you're looking at a townhome, they're gonna be a little bit more expensive. And if you look at a condo, you bet they're gonna be the most expensive. And the bigger the condo, the more expensive it gets. The more amenities that condo building has, the more expensive your HOA dues are going to be. You get what you pay for with HOA dues. You are really going to wanna make sure you understand that, because HOA dues are also going to impact your debt to income ratio, which the lender looks at. Another piece of this cost of living and lifestyle that you need to think about are utilities. What are you paying for water? Maybe you have an electric furnace, maybe you have a gas furnace, maybe you have a gas water heater or an electric water heater. All these little things are gonna play into different expenses in the size of the home. That's gonna play into how much your utility bills are gonna be. Are you paying for lawn service or lawn care? That's gonna impact your monthly cost. Do you have a pool? Do you have someone managing that pool and maintaining it for you? That's gonna impact things when it comes to your monthly bills. So making sure that you understand utility costs, things like lawn care, landscaping, pools, all of these things are gonna go into your monthly budget and what your lifestyle will look like based on the house you buy. Whether you buy a big house or a small house or a condo, a townhome, single family, they're all going to impact you differently. So make sure you're taking that into account. Finally, the last piece that you're going to want to think about with this cost of living section is dining, shopping, entertainment. We have all kinds of videos on our channel that you need to go check out that talk all about the different things that you can do when you're living in Charlotte, North Carolina. And what I will say is that there's always stuff to do, and compared to a lot of cities, it's very affordable. But again, if you're moving from a small town, it's gonna feel expensive. So don't plan to go out to dinner 5 days a week and go to a concert every week and go to all the Hornets games and sit courtside if you're trying to save money. If you wanna save money, there are ways that you can and still experience all of these fun things that Charlotte has to offer. So Make sure that you're looking into tickets to sporting events, tickets to concerts, what some of the restaurants charge for cocktails or for their menu items, whether it's their small plates and appetizers or their entrees, right? And also finding some of the different restaurants in town, like if you like steakhouses, Steak 48 is going to be the most expensive option. They're situated right in the heart of South Park, but there's plenty of other options that have great steaks that aren't as expensive as that. So talking to a good agent who understands what's going on in the city will help you so that you can understand where to look, where to go eat, what kind of events to go to, what sporting events are good, all of these different things and how much they can cost you, because that's all going to impact your lifestyle and your quality of life. Before we continue, I'd like to give you all a warm welcome to the Living in Charlotte channel. We're here with the top relocation team in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we provide videos every week for you to understand the ins and outs of the Charlotte real estate market. So be sure to take some notes and don't be afraid to pause the video as you go. Okay, halfway through. Step number 3, preparing for the actual move. This is a huge piece. You want to make sure that you time the move properly so that you don't add stress that you didn't need to add to yourself when you're moving. It sounds simple, but what do I mean by that? I mean, you don't want to move while you're in the middle of planning a trip or you're getting ready to travel somewhere. You don't want to move if you have a trip to Italy a week after the move. You don't want to move right after you get home from a trip to Italy. I mean, shoot, you go to Italy, you come back, you're not going to want to even come back, let alone move to another house, because that place is freaking awesome. If you want to watch a video about Italy, we don't have one yet, but maybe we'll have to go to Italy sometime and film out there. It'd be pretty sweet. So when it comes to timing the move, things like moving on a Friday or moving on a Wednesday or moving on a Sunday are all going to impact your life. If you have a strict work schedule, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, maybe don't move on a Sunday, because you're going to have to move, you're going to have to unpack, you're going to have to get situated. Personally, what I actually found was really helpful when we moved last year is moving on a Friday leading into a holiday weekend. We got an extra day that people weren't working, so we had more time to get unpacked. So we actually moved on Friday, had Saturday and Sunday to unpack, and then by Monday, which was Labor Day, we were able to still get comfortable and get situated before the work week just kicked off. That way, we were able to hammer through everything in one weekend. That way, nothing is just sitting around, laying around, and we felt like we were super productive that weekend. So make sure that you time the move, maybe even within the week or within the month, or if you can, around holidays or weather. Obviously, weather is unpredictable, but if it's going to be snowing all the time, maybe try to wait a little bit. If you have your apartment for a little bit longer, or you're living in a house in another city for a little longer, don't force the move right in when you know that it's going to be snowing or when you know that there's a hurricane coming. Any of these kinds of things can impact the move, because the movers aren't going to want to move you during any of these huge events that are going on. And speaking of movers, make sure you hire the right movers. Talk to friends, get recommendations, look at reviews. Movers will make or break your entire moving process. They will either make it seamless or they're gonna make it a nightmare. They will break things, they will drop things, they will sweat on things, you name it. They could mess things up. But if you hire the right movers, if something happens, it's not the end of the world. They will make it up to you. The right movers will make sure that you are happy with that whole process. And the best movers, you won't have any issues with. They're gonna come to your house, they're gonna prepare themselves, they're gonna understand how big of a truck do they need, how many materials do they need to pack, how many people do they need working for you that day, how long will they take that day. And make sure that when you're talking to friends and getting recommendations for movers, that you understand that they are gonna cost some money, they're not gonna be cheap, and the best ones are absolutely worth every penny. Because again, they're gonna make your life easier. They're gonna make things seamless. They won't take things up or down stairs that they shouldn't be taking up or down stairs. Or an example is, if you have a super heavy armoire that was on the main floor in your current house or your apartment, and you took it up an elevator, in your new house, you want it upstairs. A good mover is gonna check with you and make sure that you understand the risk associated with bringing that up the stairs if they aren't confident in getting it upstairs. Because they don't want to break all your stairs on the way up or break the armoire or anything that could happen, they're gonna run it by you. So just making sure that you are aware of what's going on with these movers is going to be super important. The other thing with movers is when you're moving cross-state, some of them will take weeks to get you your stuff because they're picking up lots of different people's things and they're going to drop them off in order to, or they may drive straight through the night and get you to your new house. So if you're moving from New York to Charlotte, maybe it's worth paying a little bit more to have a mover who can pack your stuff, drive it straight to Charlotte and unpack you a day later so you can fly down and meet them there. If you're moving just within the city, most movers will be able to go straight from the house you're moving from to the house you're moving to. So that's not as big of a deal if you're moving within the city, but if you're moving to a new state or moving to a new city, that's very important and something you're definitely going to want to take into consideration. Something else will be temporary housing. Maybe your lease is ending or you sold your house or the movers take a little bit longer to get to your new location. Look up some temporary housing, and not just on Airbnb or VRBO. There's actually a lot of companies out there that do furnished rentals. So look up furnished rentals, and a lot of them, if you're on Google or ChatGPT, look up corporate rentals or furnished rentals or short-term rentals that have furniture. All these different buzzwords or keywords are going to help you find something so that you could at least move in, bring a suitcase, unpack, have some clothes there, and not have to worry about bringing furniture and unloading couches for 2 weeks. That's going to play a huge role in making sure that this move is very smooth. And then the last piece with prepping for this is going to be schools. You want to make sure that if you have anything to worry about with schools or anything that has to do with kids, get them set up earlier. Get them set up as fast as you can. If you've closed on the house and maybe you had to give a lease back to the seller, try and call the schools ahead of time to see if you can get the kids enrolled in the school before you even move down, because you do own that house. As someone who doesn't have kids yet, I can't be the end-all be-all when it comes to schools. I don't understand all of the ins and outs with getting kids registered very transparently, but we do know a lot of people, and we do have people on our team that have kids enrolled in these schools. So if you do have questions about that, feel free to reach out because we can help you. We can help with all of these things. We have contacts for movers. Shoot, do you want a mover? Let us know. We have an entire vendor list that we've put together that we can present to you and that you can look at and you can sift through movers, handymen, plumbers, electricians, lawn care, landscaping, pool companies, you name it. We've got people on our preferred vendor list. So if you want to get your hands on that, just let us know. Feel free to drop a comment below and we can absolutely get you that list. And I touched on earlier about having the team and having agents on our team that may have kids and may not have kids, because I personally don't have kids yet. So that is one of the best parts about working with an agent that has a team or an agent that is on a team, is that you know that they have people that they're working with who have different life experiences, have different life situations, and can make sure that they can align their needs with yours. So if you want someone who has similar life goals, similar life situations, similar setup, we absolutely have someone on our team who can fit that need for you. So if you want to get some help with those, please feel free to reach out, and definitely reach out if you want that vendor list.
My name is Andy Griesinger. My team and I get calls, texts, emails, and DMs from people like you every day who are thinking about moving to Charlotte, North Carolina. And whether you're looking to move here in a week from now, a month from now, a year or 2 years from now, whatever it is, we would absolutely love to help, and we would love to hear from you. Now, if this is your first time on our Living in Charlotte channel, be sure to subscribe and tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know everything there is to know about the Charlotte, North Carolina real estate market.
One of the reasons why we are the #1 relocation team in Charlotte, North Carolina is that we love when people reach out to us. We make a full plan for your visit to make it as effective and efficient as possible so that you can see for yourself if this city is right for you. And I mean, I know I'm biased, but I think it might be. So step 4, before moving here, in order to make your move a lot more seamless, is set up a lot of your providers before you get here. Whether it's internet providers, utility providers, or it's just understanding local connections, right? You could have Duke Energy, Piedmont Natural Gas, Charlotte Water, Spectrum Cable and Internet, Google Fiber, AT&T, all of these things you really need to dive into to make sure that you understand what the options are before you move here, right? When it comes to power, pretty much Duke is the only option. Unless you're further out, there are going to be other energy providers, but typically you're going to have Duke. Same with Charlotte Water. If you're buying in the Charlotte city limits, it's probably going to be Charlotte Water unless you're on a well. Then when it comes to gas, Piedmont Natural Gas is one of the most popular gas companies here. And now for internet and cable, you have a lot more options. You might want to also ask people what they think of some of the different options, because some people love Spectrum, some people hate Spectrum. Some people really like AT&T or Google Fiber, and some just can't even get it, so they don't even know. So talking to the agent also while you're under contract will help you figure out what the utility providers are going to be and who they are, because you don't want to move into that house to find out that you forgot to call Duke Energy, because your power will be off, and that's not fun, especially if it's super cold or if it's super hot. So make sure that you have the utility providers dialed in and ready to go, lined up before you move. That will be one of the big things that helps you make this process a little more seamless. Now, on a more local level and a more just everyday kind of level, doctors, dentists, dry cleaning, laundry service, where the local UPS store might be close to the house, or where the best grocery stores are, or grocery delivery companies, or does DoorDash work here, or Instacart, or something else? Or if you're moving from New York City, you have thousands of options that you might not have in Charlotte. So make sure you understand all the different little nuances that locals are using all the time. Talk to your agent. A good agent will be able to help guide you towards some of the different apps that are locally based that will help make your life easier. Maybe you want to know where the best dog salons are because you got to get your dog groomed every once in a while. Or maybe you need boarding for your dog. Those are great things to understand before you move here. Another one, gyms. What gym do you want to go to? What kind of gym do you look for? Do you want a boxing gym, a HIIT workout gym? Do you want an open gym where you can just lift weights? All these different gyms are scattered throughout the city and people have different opinions on them. So figuring that stuff out before you move here will help make your life easier. The whole theme of this entire video is to help make your life easier when you move here, because it's an emotional process, it's a stressful process, and especially for those of you who are moving here from other states, it's just a big, can be overwhelming task. And so these are all things that will help make your life easier when you move here. Another thing on the local level that will help is joining local Facebook groups. Whether you're moving to South Park or moving into Charlotte proper, any of these different things, there's newcomer groups, there's business professional groups, there's groups for people who are into disc golf, which, fun fact, Charlotte is home to the #1 disc golf course in the world, or they have the most amount of disc golf courses in the country, something like that. But if you're into disc golf, this is definitely the right city for you, because I can promise you it's huge here. Maybe you want to get into craft beers or learning how to brew beers. There's groups for that on Facebook in Charlotte. There's groups for everything when it comes to Charlotte and newcomers. And when you're moving to Charlotte, North Carolina, joining some different Facebook groups will make things easier because you can start meeting people. Say you're already under contract and you're watching this video. Go to the house that you're buying and walk around the neighborhood. Meet people who are walking their dogs. Maybe knock on a door or two, or wave to some of the neighbors and see if you can talk to them about what you need to know about the neighborhood before you move in there. Go find a few Facebook groups that are specifically around whatever interests you and with the city that you live in. Say you're not moving to Charlotte and you're just stumbling across this video. Go find some kind of Facebook group that you can join where you can make some new friends or maybe learn a new hobby. But if you are moving to Charlotte, reach out to us and we can help guide you through some of the different Facebook groups and some of the different preferred vendors that we like to work with here at a local level that will really impact your entire experience.
Because of how spread out this city is, one thing that we've noticed is a lot of our buyers have heard about a specific neighborhood or maybe a specific street, and their dream home is situated right on that street. And it may not be possible to find that exact home on that street. So one of the things that our team has done, and I personally did, was I invested in one of the most high-tech artificial intelligence tools to help you narrow down exactly where we might be able to find some homes that may not be on the market yet with sellers who are willing to sell. If it ends up not being the perfect house for you, do you have to buy it? No, you don't. but it's one of the many tools that sets our team apart from everyone else in all of Charlotte, North Carolina. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hop on a Zoom call, pull up a map, and go through the specific neighborhoods and streets that are gonna fit your needs. And more importantly, we're gonna cross off all the ones that just simply won't be a fit.
And for our fifth and final step to make this relocation to South Park way more seamless is, can you hear that or no? So for step number 5, so our fifth and final step to making this whole process more smooth for you is just ultimately coordinating everything with the move, right? You've got the movers, you know where you're gonna be, you've closed on the house, you're getting ready to move to this new city or move to a new home, and you want to figure out what the utilities are. You wanna make sure everything's set up. You wanna make sure that your moving day itself is ready to go. There's a lot of little details that you're gonna wanna have set up and ready to go for moving day. So what does that look like? Say you're moving into a condo building or a townhome that has an HOA. Are there any restrictions with that HOA in regards to parking or having trucks or having movers, or maybe if it's a condo building, they need to put up the padding in the elevator so that you don't destroy their elevators. There's all kinds of things you want to make sure that you can do in order to make that move more streamlined, especially if you're moving into a condo or townhome. If you're moving into a single family home, maybe go to the house the day before and knock on a couple of the neighbors' doors and let them know, hey, we're the new neighbors, we're gonna be moving in tomorrow. So if you see some moving trucks and a lot going on, like, it's us. Hopefully we get to know you while we're living here and we're excited to be here, right? Something simple like that. Neighbors always wanna meet the new neighbors. They always wanna make sure that you're not a weirdo. And so it's important to be able to actually go meet the neighbors. Another thing that's good to do before you move is setting up utilities. Make sure the power is ready to go. Make sure the water is on. Make sure if you have gas, the gas is on. If you have to work the day of the move, well, make sure you have internet lined up to get set up that day. And speaking of internet, mine's clearly on because it's telling me I've got a meeting coming up, so I gotta mute that real quick. But make sure that you have the internet set up. Different internet providers will take longer and some will be quicker when it comes to setting that up, so prepare for that. That's gonna help you a lot. And then the last thing, and honestly my most favorite part of the move and prepping for it to make it streamlined, is explore the area. Go check out the area you're gonna be living in. Go find the restaurant that's close to your new house. Maybe it's for a breakfast spot or a good lunch spot for something quick, or a nice spot that you can go out for a date night. So make sure that you know what's going on around the house and go explore. Go find some new coffee shops. Maybe go join the new gym and start going there so you understand what it's like to do that commute. Go check out what it's like to commute from your job to this new house. Maybe you go find the new grocery store so you start to get aligned with what's going on in there. Maybe you join, like I said, join a new gym. Check out the parks. There's a lot of things that are going on around your new house that you're going to want to understand where they are, how to navigate them, and then that way, once you move into your new house, you feel situated, you feel settled, you don't feel like you're this brand new person in this new area. You know what the essentials are, where they are, and how to get to them. It will ultimately help the moving process, it will make your life easier, and it will make the whole experience that much better. So all of these different steps are geared towards making the moving process more simple, more streamlined, and less stressful on you.
So if you're ready to explore everything that Charlotte has to offer, be sure to check out some of our other videos and drop a comment below if you have any questions about this video. We're always sharing new tips about the Charlotte, North Carolina real estate market, and we would love to help you find the perfect home in this amazing city. Our contact information is in the description below, so be sure to write down our phone number and email so that you can text us or email us to set up that introduction call. That way we can hop on Zoom and develop a plan for you. So what are you waiting for? Let's start your Charlotte adventure today.